Many years ago, when Borderlands 1 first came out, I picked that thing up and it was great. Like, I never really played anything like it. The only thing close was like Fallout 3, which, I mean, they're vastly different, but you know what I mean. It's like a post-apocalyptic RPG first-person shooter sort of thing. But Borderlands 1 was pretty damn good, and a lot of people liked it, and for good reason. And then Borderlands 2 got announced, and oh boy, I was so fucking excited for that game, and for good reason. It's easily the best Borderlands game. At least I think so. But then the pre-sequel got announced. I didn't play it when it first came out until it got remade on the whole Handsome Jack collection on the PS4 and the Xbox One. And I actually enjoyed it. I know a lot of people didn't care for it, but I did like the pre-sequel. The story was pretty good. It was interesting. It gave you more backstory behind the Handsome Jack, who's just easily one of the best villains in a video game ever. And then Borderlands 3 got announced, and for some reason, I was not excited at all for it. I seen the trailer, didn't care for it. I played the whole Commander Lilith DLC thing that they made for Borderlands 2. I did not like it at all. And it was the whole thing that bridged the gap between Borderlands 2's story and Borderlands 3's. And it just did not interest me in the fucking slightest at all. Like, it was stupid. I mean, I liked how they increased the level cap and the DLC was free. At least when it first came out. But that was it. Like, it was great gameplay-wise, but the story was so fucking shit. I didn't care for it at all. And you know, that was the perfect segue to Borderlands 3. Because Borderlands 3 is exactly like the whole Commander Lilith Save Sanctuary, whatever the fuck it was called, in Borderlands 2. The gameplay is great, but the story is absolutely fucking terrible. Now, I'm not going to dwell on the gameplay too much because it's pretty much the same as Borderlands 2. It's great. It's great gameplay. But mainly because I fucked up real bad. And I think I accidentally deleted my fucking update. Like the update file for Borderlands 3. And I guess that deletes every gun you fucking have. I'm not blaming the game. Like, that's my fucking fault. But it is a good reason for me to never fucking play the game again. Which I don't plan on doing at all. Because I didn't like it. So I'll mainly be focusing on the story, which, if you've played Borderlands 3, you probably know is just fucking horrible. I don't know how anyone can like this fucking story. It is absolutely fucking nonsense. And I'm not going to start a new fucking game to play this shit either. I couldn't stand doing it. The first time I beat the game, I was just like, fucking drained. And I beat the game twice. Oh, I'm a fucking masochist. Like I said, the gameplay's great. The story is just fucking horrible. Thank God they added the update that lets you skip the shitty cutscenes. But I got real lazy. I went on YouTube. I found somebody who basically patched all the fucking cutscenes together like a big movie. So let's go over these cutscenes. But first, I'm going to go over the characters in all the video games, because the characters are pretty goddamn important, especially the playable characters. You know, the characters who you feel like you should be in the cutscenes actually fucking doing shit. That's not what happens in Borderlands 3. You'll see in the cutscenes. So there's 4 playable characters to choose from in the first game. And these characters all have their own abilities and shit like that. Yeah, that's great. But they don't really have any backstory to them, at least in the first game. Because the story isn't really important at all in the first game. It's pretty goddamn light. Literally, the whole plot is, you're a vault hunter, and you gotta go find this big old vault on this planet filled with bandits and monsters and shit like that. And you have to find the vault before this evil corporation called Atlas gets to the vault and opens it before you do. In the second game, the characters that you play as have a lot more personality, and they actually have kind of interesting backstories. I don't know all their backstories, but they are pretty interesting. I mean, a hell of a lot more so in the first game. In the first game, the characters almost never fucking talk. This game, they talk a little bit more, but I wish they would actually have more dialogue. But there's also 2 more characters that they added as DLC in this game. So there's actually 6 playable characters in this game. That's fucking great. And Handsome Jack, the villain of the game, is just one of the best fucking villains in a video game. He's so goddamn charming, he's witty, he's hilarious, and he's a dick. And he's great. And I gotta say, the gameplay in this, I think, is the best out of every Borderlands game. I even think it's better than 3. 3, I don't know what it is about the gameplay. It just doesn't feel as fun. I don't know. It feels like just a manufactured first-person shooter. This game actually has like a lot of charm behind it. I mean, in the third game, you got sliding. You can do sliding and grapple up on ledges and stuff. But who gives a shit? This game didn't need that. I mean, sure, it's an alright addition, I guess, but just stick with Borderlands 2. It's a hell of a lot of fun to play. Borderlands 3 just, to me at least, it did not feel fun to go and like farm boss fights for like really great loot and shit. It just felt really fucking tedious. Tedious and boring. This game, Borderlands 2, is not that. I mean, on the hardest difficulty, it's fucking brutal, and raid bosses can all eat shit. Mainly because I'm alone and I have nobody to play with because nobody likes me. But that's beside the point. The pre-sequel, I think, got a lot of hate, but I actually really did enjoy it. I didn't really care for like the gameplay very much. Like jumping around and floating around was kind of annoying sometimes, but I did think the story was really interesting. It's all being retold by this new character named Athena, and it sets up for something really interesting. It could have been really fucking interesting in Borderlands 3 if they had just went off the story that this fucking game set up. It sets up for this big-ass war between aliens and the Crimson Lance or whatever. I don't know. It could have been fucking crazy, but no. Instead, we got whatever the fuck you want to call the story in Borderlands 3. Quite frankly, I prefer the word shit. That's how I would describe the story. As I said earlier, I couldn't be fucked to replay this game. Just did not feel like it at all. So I looked up the whole cutscene, like every cutscene online. Just fuck the game. So you got these new characters. You got 4 new Vault Hunters to play as. None of them are interesting, I don't think. They all have pretty cool powers in game to use in game, but I couldn't give a fuck less. Most of the time I can pick out who my favorite character to play as is. I couldn't this time. I mean, Zane's pretty cool. At least I think he's pretty cool, but he's not really that interesting. You got the Gunner. She can summon a big old robot, which is cool, I guess, but this ain't Titanfall. You got the Siren, who's just boring as shit, I think. She's definitely not as cool as Maya. She's better than Lilith, but that's not saying a whole lot. And then you got Flak, who got to be careful with what pronouns you use, because it is binary. Would that be it? I don't know how that works. Sorry, not sorry. I don't know. It's a robot. It's a fucking robot. I mean, I can relate. I identify as a nasty condiment. My main issue with this game's story is the 2 villains of the fucking game. Tyreen and Troy Calypso. Oh, the Calypso twins. I mean, I could rag on them about how terrible they all are all day, but everyone always complains about how bad they are, which, yeah, they suck ass. They're fucking terrible. They're annoying as shit. And when you compare them to Handsome Jack, I mean, just don't compare them to Handsome Jack, okay? They cannot compare. They come nowhere near him. They're boxing with God if they think they're as good as Handsome Jack. But that being said, I do think that Troy was an interesting character. He was treated as a parasite, like a leech. Like, to survive, he needed to, like, gain powers from Tyreen. Like, she needed to, like, give him some powers or whatever, because he was, like, frail and shit. So it could have been an interesting character development if he had turned to the good side and helped stop Tyreen. Or make him the big bad of the game, and he drains Tyreen of all her powers, killing her, and then he turns into a big fucking monster or some crazy shit. Like he's tired of being treated like a leech. Anything could have been more interesting than what we got in this fucking game. We'll get to what happens to Troy later, which is just a fucking joke. They turn his character development into a joke. Now this is supposed to be the first major cutscene of the game, and it's supposed to show off like how badass this game's gonna be, like with its cutscenes, but it just comes across as a fucking joke. Like, oh no, Lilith gets your powers stolen by Tyreene. We're supposed to care, but I don't, because Lilith sucks. She's seriously one of the worst fucking characters in a video game. I like Tyreene and Troy more than her. That's how bad I think Lilith is. Like, why is she the fucking commander of the Crimson Raiders? What, because her boyfriend, Roland, was? And since Roland died, I guess that just makes it to where she's the leader? Like, why the fuck is Brick or Mordecai not the leader? In fact, Brick and Mordecai have pretty much no stakes at all in this game. They literally show up in one fucking part, help you for literally one mission, and then they're completely gone from the game, aside from like a couple side quests. They have more side quests than they do main quests. That's fucking bullshit, because they were key characters in Borderlands 2. They were playable characters in Borderlands 1, but then they came back in Borderlands 2, just like Lilith and Roland, and they were key characters. When Roland died and Lilith got captured, they helped the Vault Hunters go storm into the Warrior's vault to fight the Warrior and stop Handsome Jack from destroying Pandora. You couldn't have done it without them. You could have, however, done it without Lilith, because Lilith fucked everything up, and she's the whole reason that the Warrior gets awakened in the first fucking place. She was told not to fucking go in Angel's domain, and she did anyways because she's a dumbass. And she's probably the reason Roland got killed in the first fucking place. And then Handsome Jack captured her. And you know what? This isn't even mentioning all the bullshit that she pulled in the pre-sequel. She's the whole reason Handsome Jack's a bad guy in the first fucking place. She just sucker punched him for no fucking real reason at all. I mean, yeah, Handsome Jack did a lot of questionable shit. Like, he was definitely doing some pretty bad shit in the pre-sequel. But I don't think he would have turned into a villain. Especially not the fucking kind of tyrant that he was in Borderlands 2. If it wasn't for the bullshit that Lilith pulled, like doing the whole sucker punch thing and fucking up Handsome Jack's face. What a dumb fucking bitch. Alright, so I'm done ranting about Lilith. Thank God Maya's in the game, because I actually really fucking like her. She's a great character. Big problem is her student, or her pupil, Ava. I mean, she's been memed on too, just like the Calypso twins. Everyone knows how terrible Ava is. I'm not even going to get into it. I will just say Ava is easily one of the worst fucking characters ever created by mankind. I'll just leave it at that. She has no real character development. She's annoying as fuck. There's nothing else to say. Instead, I will just say this whole cutscene is the main problem with the game, period. Where are the Vault Hunters at? Literally, the Vault Hunters were right here. In fact, this is right after you kill one of the Vault bosses, and then Maya and Ava show up, and then the Calypso twins show up. So, there's supposed to be 4 Vault Hunters in this scene. Where the fuck are they? No, instead it's just, I guess they're just sitting there watching all this shit unfold. And the worst thing that happens in this scene is Maya gets fucking killed. They kill off probably the only character I like in this fucking game. And I say she's the only character I like in this game because every other character that I think is good either doesn't show up at all or they show up like one fucking time and that's it. Mordecai and Brick show up one time. Tiny Tina shows up one time. Gage doesn't show up at all. Axton doesn't show up at all. Salvador, not at all. Fucking Craig, I think he's like got an echo dialogue, but he's not in the game at all. Instead, we get Maya and Zero, which Zero has almost nothing to do in this fucking game at all. And then Maya shows up for like a mission, and then out of nowhere, Troy touches her, and I guess instead of draining her powers like it did to Lilith, for some reason it just fucking dusts her like this is goddamn Endgame. Boy, that's fucking great. Why couldn't they do that to Lilith and just have Maya lose her powers? No, instead you have to kill the best fucking character in the entire fucking game. And for what? So we can have Ava take over as the new Maya? Don't be so fuck. And then later on, like way later on in the game, they give the scientist, Tanis, who's been just nothing but a scientist the whole time, they give her fucking siren powers. Like, why? Fucking why? I guess she gains Angel's powers, which is probably the strongest siren powers in, like, the Borderlands series. But fucking why does she need siren powers? Oh, and here's the like one of the last cutscenes. Like, the part where Troy gets killed after a boss fight, which I actually think was a really cool boss fight. But he's dead. And you think that Tyreen's also dead, so I thought this was actually the end of the game. I was rejoicing because thank God it was fucking finally over. Ava touches him and somehow gets Maya's power, so yeah, it's confirmed. She's basically going to be like Maya. So, you know, fuck the future of Borderlands. I don't care about it. Fuck it right off. Somehow she instantly knows how to use siren powers too. Absolutely fucking stupid. So Troy and Tyreen are apparently dead. Or at least I thought they were both fucking dead, but apparently not, because Tyreen, of course, isn't dead. So they choose to kill off the one character that had redeeming qualities, could have been turned to babyface, and could have, or maybe even could have been the big bad of the game. They could have made him drain Tyreen of all her fucking powers to try and prove that he's not just a leech. And then he could have, like, went apeshit and tried to end the world or whatever. But instead, no. Tyreen gets back up somehow, even though she was, like, dead as a fucking doornail. And then she awakens the Destroyer, which is the big tentacle porn monster from Borderlands 1. It was the final boss. She reawakens that thing, and then later on she goes to, I don't know, Necro Defeo or something. For some reason, I don't know. Necro Defeo is like the planet that the first Vault Hunter, Typhon de Leon, is living on. If this all sounds like I'm just throwing a bunch of lore at you just to make it seem like the story's more intricate than what it is, that's because that's what the fucking game did. It chucks all this lore at you, and I don't know, I guess they expect you to say, "Oh man, look at how intricate this game's story is. What a well-developed universe." To me, it comes across as overly confusing and fucking annoying. So, I don't know what Tyreen's real goal is here. I don't know what their goal was from the get-go. I guess they wanted to take over Pandora, but now she wants to destroy Pandora. And you know what? Fuck Pandora. Destroy the goddamn place. It's a fucking shithole. But that's aside the point. The point is, Tyreen wants to destroy the fucking world of Pandora now, for some reason. She wanted to rule it earlier, but now she wants to destroy it. Fuck it off. Who cares? Stupid story. She kills the three shitty characters. She kills Tanis, Lilith, and Ava. Thank fucking God. No, we couldn't have been that lucky. The game does a fucking stupid fake out. And then it somehow, little shit nugget Ava learned how to use Maya's barrier. I want to die. For these last two cutscenes, I'm going to have to point out again that the Vault Hunters are supposed to be here in the cutscene because they were there before the cutscene started, but they're not anywhere to be found in the cutscene at all, and they're not helping anybody out. They could have all just ganged up on Tyreen here, like all the Vault Hunters, but they're not in the cutscene because they're not important at all, even though you play as them throughout the whole fucking game. Instead, all we get is this laughable cutscene of Tyreen doing something and this little dude, I don't know, he's the first Vault Hunter. His name is Typhon de Leon, and apparently he's the father of Tyreen and Troy Calypso, so he's the father of the big bad characters. But who gives a shit? He dies. Literally, this is the same mission that he gets introduced in, and he dies. Fuck character development, right, Gearbox? Fuck them all. Yeah, who needs Troy? He's more interesting than Tyreen, but no, we need Tyreen. We gotta have Tyreen in the game instead of Troy. Fuck Troy. And you know what? Fuck their father too. He dies, so who cares? And who needs Maya, even though she's the only good character in the game? Fuck it, we need Ava. Because raisins. Am I right, Gearbox? Great fucking job. And this is it. This is the last cutscene after you fight the boss, which is basically Tyreen fused with the Destroyer from the first game. Absolute dog shit final boss fight. Even more dog shit, I think, than the Destroyer in the first game. Lilith gets her powers back, and they're pulling that thing again where the Vault Hunters are nowhere to be found in the cutscene. You know, what's the point in having a cutscene in a game if you're not going to include the playable characters in those fucking cutscenes? Borderlands 2 didn't really have a whole lot of cutscenes, but the cutscenes that they had made sense because it didn't feel like the fucking Vault Hunters were in those cutscenes. It was mostly just to introduce new characters or the boss fight. And then the cutscenes that it had, like the Tiny Tina DLC, actually included every fucking Vault Hunter in the final picture. It showed all the Vault Hunters standing together. This game, it just says there's 4 main characters, they do something, and then they just fuck off and let Lilith take all the fucking credit. So Lilith's the big hero of the game. Couldn't have done it without Lilith. Thank God she was here. She's the bestest ever. Bestest character in a video game ever. She's the hero. Look at her. She's the Firehawk. If you don't like her, then you're just a damn fool. She's the best. You better get used to Ava too, because for some reason Ava is now the leader. She's now the leader of the Crimson Raiders. Like, fucking what? Fucking why? Why would Ava be the leader of the Look, there's Brick, Mordecai, and Tiny Tina. Oh, but that's all. That's pretty much all you get to see. There's another shitty character. Absolute dog shit character. There's 3 characters that are barely in it, and there's 3 characters that are barely in it. There's Zero also, like, you know. There's 2 characters I actually really liked, but like every other character, they didn't really do a whole lot in the fucking game. So fuck those characters off too. Am I right? That's just all. That's all you do. Unless they're Tanis, Ava, or Lilith, just fuck them all off, including the playable characters. They're not important. It's these pieces of fucking dog shit characters with no real character development that are the real heroes of the game. Fuck everyone else. And fuck me too, right? This game was fucking dog shit. Thank God it's over. In conclusion, the gameplay is good, but it's pretty much the same as Borderlands 2. The story is absolute dog shit. Probably the worst story I've ever played in a video game. I'm not exaggerating at all. I think it's absolutely poorly written trash. Dog shit characters everywhere. Also, where's all the past characters at? I mean, they have Zero and Maya in there, which they still mistreat both of them to the nth degree, especially Maya. I've never been so mad at a fucking cutscene in a Borderlands game before. But where's Gage? Where's Axton? Where's Craig? Where's Salvador? Well, apparently, Gage is in the DLC that I didn't play and never will play, which is just absolutely stupid. And Craig is apparently getting his own DLC as well. So I guess they're just saving all the good characters for DLC. Fan-fucking-tastic. Thanks a lot, Gearbox. I'm not going to be playing those fucking DLC. If you couldn't get the main story right, why should I give a shit about your other fucking side stories? Why should I pay more money for actually good content? God damn, I'm so fucking mad at this game. Because I love Borderlands. It's a great fucking game series, and the story is actually interesting in these games. Except this fucking game. This game sucks donkey shit. And why, you know what? Back to Craig. Why give him story? Basically, his main story revolved around Maya. He fell in love with Maya when he first saw her. Like, he's part psycho, but he's also, like, coming to his senses. And when he saw Maya, that helped him come to his senses even more. In fact, Craig's character trailer in Borderlands 2 has more story in it than Borderlands 3 entirely. That's all I gotta say. Borderlands 3 is just a humorless trash heap filled with misused characters, just broken dreams. I hated it. Fucking hated it. I'll leave you with a character who is also not in Borderlands 3, aside from like one side mission.
You want to hear about loot and packs and explosions? I'm Torg, and I'm here to ask you one question and one question only. Explosions?